It's 7 o'clock on a Monday, ladies and gentlemen, which can mean only one thing. Oh, no, I'm a week early. Right, scrap that. It's welcome to Monday Race Club on Monday the 2nd of May, where tonight, ladies, gentlemen, and non-human denominational and extraterrestrial entities, we bring you live from the UK. The driver and team draw for Season 7. Not long to go, folks. Season 7 will see us cover the globe. Note, no flat earth here in MRC. I've got to make that point clear. Starting in Bahrain in a week's time, then jumping over the Atlantic to Canada, back to Europe for what can only be described as a magnificent quadruple, well, singtuplet, ultimately, of Austria, Great Britain, Belgium, Holland and Italy before catching a cargo ship to Brazil, and then onwards to the season finale in Australia on Monday the 4th and Wednesday the 6th of July. Season 7 will have 4 tiers alongside the running of MRCX. That's right, folks, you get double MRC action on Mondays, Wednesdays, and MRC Triple X action on Fridays. Oh, how well we treat you. That is it. And if you want and like more and more, we'll give you as much as we can over the next 2 months, with us then flying straight into the new game when it's released on the 1st of July or the 28th of June if you've ordered the Champions Edition. We are a PlayStation 4 and 5 league, none of your major soft or micro hard nonsense. We are the players and we are here to race. Over the next however long we ramble on for the drivers and their supporters, we'll find out who they'll be driving for in the upcoming season. The rules we follow are many, but few in this type of draw. All seats are drawn at random, with the following exceptions. Season 6 champions get a free choice to move to any team they choose, and administrators and commentators can nominate 5 preferred teams. All this means is I will not be in that very nasty car that's a Benetton, no, Rangers wagon. But less of my moaning and on to the activity of tonight. I'm joined by none other than the king, the glorious leader, the forever god in MRC that is Martin Hills. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, Gavin. How are you this evening?
Good. Oh, very excited, very excited. And joining us as he does some racing is Mr. Hodgson, our other lead commentator of MRC. How are you, sir?
Good evening. Very well. Thank you. Very well.
Yes, well, tonight's team draw will be supported by a few of our drivers driving or retiring, as I've seen already, in 5-lap events showcasing their finely tuned talents. The stewards room has been locked down by some, but there is none more. We'll go through each tier and each team, and we'll have the YouTube chat there going as well. But Discord will be updated with the driver pairing, so you can see where you are and who your teammate will be for all those important driver briefings, pre-race and tactical decisions. So here we are. We've already got 38 people watching. Technically, by my accounts, we should have at least 80 people, because everyone should be interested in finding out who they are racing for next season. It's going to be an interesting evening, Mr. Hills, as we will start shortly on our driver lineup.
It is. We've gone for a bit of a different format this time compared to the last pre-season, as we felt that the format of it being a massive fail wasn't quite so good as one that maybe actually was visible and audible. I don't know, people are demanding, Gav, what can I say?
Well, this is it. They basically demanded perfection, and that is what we are delivering to them tonight. Perfection. Let's just remind that it isn't a sprint here in MRC. All of this work, and I know, Mark, you're going to come on to it just shortly, but all of this work takes a considerable period of time. Mr. Hodgson, do you want to add some comments to that? Because I know all of the admins will support this.
Yeah, exactly that. As you allude to, it is the, people think, right, that's it now, season's done, and then we're just waiting for the next one. But I know, Martin, you mentioned you were up at 4:30, 5:30 this morning, and
that was yesterday morning.
Yesterday, apologies.
Yeah, yesterday was 5:30. Today was 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, you had a lie-in.
I did. Yeah.
But that's the thing. People think it's easy, and yourself as well. You work very hard. As soon as the flag dropped in Jeddah, that was it. The admins were busy, hard at work, and it doesn't stop. It's people come and race week in, week out, and they just turn up and race, for want of a better term, and practice sessions and the like. But for a lot of yourselves and a lot of the administrators, the work does not stop. It is technically a full-time job.
It is.
Yes.
It is indeed. But yes, we do lots that goes on behind the scenes. It isn't just as simple as putting a couple of Excels together and a couple of graphics and that's it. There is a tremendous amount of work that goes on that isn't just limited to stewards, but all of the league admin, all of the prep that the commentators go on. I know sometimes we tend to just dribble on about anything and everything, but that does take time to prepare and mentally prepare as well, that we have for that. I'll tell you what, this whole thing of showcasing their finely tuned talents isn't working because we've lost 6 people already.
It's 3 laps in.
I bet it's only 5 laps. We might only have 3 left at the end of it.
Well, this is it.
Let's just not mention the fact that nearly all the people driving on track tonight are actually either stewards or administrators, with the exception of 7 cars.
Yes. At least one of them, at least 2 of them are champions as well. And one of them's DNF'd. Anyway, we are where we are. Right, let's bring to the matter of today, which is the driver and team reveal, and we will be starting with tier number 4. I should have really got some nice voiceover there that says 4.
Yeah, the buttons they do on the radio.
Yes,
4,
that's it.
4.
That's it. That is it. So we are going to start with. Well, first and foremost, this is the driver pairing for Alfa Romeo. And looking at this lineup, and the way that we are going to do it is a little bit of a story behind. Then Mr. Hills will detail who's there, and then myself and Mark will give some reactions. But this is a very interesting one because actually one of the drivers who is going to be racing for Alfa Romeo, Sauber, BMW, whatever it is that they're called, actually has a name that is very similar to a football club that used to actually sponsor Sauber. And the other one is a man who is very much a boy band. Many things, and also linked to London as well. So the Alfa Romeo Sauber BMW gang. Well, Mr. Hills, who do we have? I think this might be a shock.
Is it worth me even explaining it? You basically just told them all who it was.
No.
We have at Alfa Romeo Tier 4 we have Chelsea. Ooh. And Bildy
Baldy, 17 as Mr. Hodgson affectionately calls him, which it is, yes, Chelsea and Baldy. Chelsea last season was in an Aston Martin in Tier 4, so Chelsea has migrated to Switzerland, probably for tax purposes, to be honest, after Lawrence Stroll pumped lots of money Chelsea's way. And Baldy Carl will be excited another season in the Alfa Romeo, which will be fun. Talking of Alphas, Alpha Tauri is the next one. Now, Alpha Tauri have a long and varied history. They're very big on tuxedos and clothing. But they were Toro Rosso, and before Toro Rosso, they were a lovely little Italian team called Minardi, who had V8 engines, and a couple of good drivers this season, ones that have improved. One that was a reserve last year in Tier 4, and one that also had raced in Tier 3 and reserved in Tier 4 as well. I almost feel a bit, what can I say? When I see the Alpha Tauri lineup, all I think of is 2 smartly dressed individuals with rather large glasses of wine. Although, to be perfectly honest, what?
Don't knock that. Don't knock that. I'm sat here with a glass of wine myself.
No, I'm not knocking it, just sort of going. But one of them, certainly, every time I see the individual on track, I think of Jilly Cooper, the wine woman. Which probably brings it quite nicely to who it is that is racing for Alpha Tauri this season.
So, at Alpha Tauri, we have the inimitable Ocean Team. And as you're going to see a lot of new drivers coming in, the next driver we're having is going to be Artur, who has, as you just mentioned, been a reserve for a little while and is now getting a full-time seat.
Yeah, thoroughly well deserved. Good reserve performances in Tier 4. I think in Brazil was one of them. For that, certainly a good strong pairing there for Alpha Tauri. Within that, Mr. Hodgson. So far, two teams, the two Alphas have been drawn. We've got a Chelsea and an East 17 stay another day, and we've got SpongeBob SquarePants and Arthur Leclerc.
To be fair, I think they're quite good lineups. We've seen them all race at different stages, as Martin said, as we both said, as reserves, and like Arthur's been really good. East 17 has proven he's got a lot of pace, and he scores quite consecutive points, I do believe. So I think they're quite strong lineups for Tier 4. I quite like the sound of those.
Yeah, indeed. There we are. So that brings us on to another team that begins with an A. Critically, there are 4 of them in F1. Clearly someone got the wrong end of the alphabet, but this team were Benetton for many seasons, and then they were Renault. And then Renault decided that they didn't want to spend a lot of money anymore, and they became, Lotus. And then they came back to Renault again. And now they are known as Alpine. Or Alpine, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. Otherwise known as a team with a very ugly car that has a horrible colour scheme, in my opinion. Is also known as the Rangers wagon, which absolutely infuriates me. However, the Alpine Tier 4 last season did win the Constructors' Championship, so they are in good standing within that. And within this, we have an American and someone whose name very much rhymes with the sort of thing you would take if you maybe had a hangover. An Alka-Seltzer. There we go.
I had paracetamol in my head.
Well, I mean, let's put it this way: we've got a dancing, romancing individual with an hangover medication. I mean, that doesn't sound dodgy in the slightest. Mr. Hills, who do we have in the Alpine?
It's another pairing of a experienced hand and a newbie. So we have Necromancer, that's Doug, and we have Axel, which actually would have been much more better described as being the thing that you mount your wheels to in your car. But you know,
I didn't think of it that way.
I think it says more about Gav's weekend than
Axel Round. Yes, who is one of our admins and brothers, young Zachary Round. Yep. So it's brotherly in MRC. There we have it. That's a good strong pairing. I mean, those Doug I'll be looking to come back. Axel's had a couple of good races when he reserved in as well. So I just want to actually, do you know what? Every time I think about that name now, I actually don't go for Alka-Seltzer. I just want to go Axel Foley from Beverly Hills Cop. There we go. That could be his name. We could call him Beverly Hills Cop from now on. Who knows? Who's going to be? The question is, who'll be commentating on Tier 4? That is going to be the ultimate question. We will come back to that shortly. Well, 3 teams down. We've just started in France. God help us after the start in Japan. Let's see if actually anyone gets through the first corner without incident.
It's the worst first corner of any of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, we've got a Ferrari being love tapped by a McLaren there. That'll be monster. Keep it clean, Andrew. Keep it clean. And we've got Connor and Carl fighting together. That's something that may have. Oh, we've got wings. Anyway, going back to the teams. This team, again, is the final A, and is a team which, over many seasons, people loved because it was a team that was run by a very exciting Irishman that won their maiden Grand Prix in Belgium in 1998, and then won their only Grand Prix as Racing Point in 2020 with Sergio Perez. And of course, Aston Martin, owned by Lawrence Stroll, who has a hatred of Carl. after Carl basically just slandered them publicly every single race because apparently they were giving him dodgy material. I have to say, this lineup for me is rather comical in a way. Only because one of said individuals, and one who raced as a reserve in Jeddah and did really well, I know will absolutely love being in a green car. He will utterly, utterly love it. The other is moved from a very fashionable Italian tuxedo car to an Aston Martin, but I do have to say the second driver will love this green car, Mr. Hills. Over to you.
Yeah, well, we've got Danny Hall, who's another new driver. That's RFC Danny.
And Connor, he's not a supporter of Reading. I just got to tell you that.
And Luke Chard, and obviously he must like his greens.
He does. Well, Danny loves the green half of Glasgow. Of course he does, because it's championship number 52 coming our way. But yes, he will love being in the green of Aston Martin. I did joke with him. I said, oh, here we go. It'll be a Rangers versus a Celtic affair. And he's just messaged me saying, ha 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 ha, really? Yes, for season 7, you're going to be in the Celtic mobile. There we have it. So Aston Martin have a good strong team there, which brings us on to the lovely Italian stallions of the Ferraris. Now, I was very interested because when you think of Ferrari, you think of majesticness. You think of very much like a red wine, a smooth, it goes down well, it's fast, it's exciting. And within
like Martin's Rioja.
Well, yes. Well, exactly, we're seeing the red wine that comes through. And we've got a double act in Ferrari this year, which certainly will bring that excitement to it. Certainly one of them we know does like to have some. He doesn't like to have any rough edges around him. He likes things to be nice and smooth. And the other one is one of our esteemed stewards, Mr. Hills. Over to you.
So the first Ferrari driver is actually on track currently, but not in a Ferrari. It's I'm never sure whether he calls himself Gib or Jib, but it's Marcin.
Yes.
Marcin. I'm never quite sure how to say his proper name either, but he's there, isn't he?
Yes, he did. He's in an Alfa Romeo right now.
He is. And he's partnered with Johnny Smooth.
Johnny Smooth, who was one of the Willy boys in Tier 4 last season, who has migrated to the Italians, so the Italians have been taking a keen interest in him and have negotiated his release from the Williams team. Now, talking of Ferrari cars and talking of those Ferrari cars which, are red, white and blue in the Ural-Kali sponsorship, brings us nicely on to Haas. And right now we are watching a man who enjoys his cereals for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and as a midnight snack as well when he is DJing out in the clubs. But in terms of their lineup, there is, I've got to say, there's an Irish connection, I believe, and a Kellogg's connection. It's as if by magic that the Haas lineup tonight includes half of their team for season 7, Mr. Hills.
It does indeed. It's only the second team we've had so far this evening that hasn't got a new driver in it. So it's Notorious Kieran and it's Kellogg's himself.
Kellogg. So Kellogg's better get used to the Haasmobile that he is driving because, it's yours for the next few races, ultimately. So he was in an Aston Martin last season. I've just got to go back up to there because apparently Mark and Connor Connor's having Connor's just having a lovely spin in his Red Bull with no front wing anymore, and everybody else is just dancing on around him. But yes,
and me now.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Which brings us on to the the McLaren team in Formula 1, the orange, the Iron Brew powered machines that are in the papaya orange. And tonight we have, well, what can be described as quite a powerful combination Tier 4. One of them is absolutely celebrating after this weekend, after being at Gillingham, no doubt, and he will know what I mean. And the other one has another fondness for the vino through his vinery, or just wine trees, as I'll call them. But a strong lineup I'm just making this up, but a strong lineup in McLaren, because Mr. Hills, we have driving for them.
We have, I think you're right. This is a team to watch. It's Stu Vine and Jay Kane, Da Convertible.
Yeah, exactly. Stu. There we go. Connor's just said, "Can you stop putting me on screen?" Because apparently, if I put him on screen, something happens. Not a clue what that is, to be perfectly honest. But anyway, there we go. Yeah, that's a strong lineup. Da Convertible was in the blue, white, and red Alpine last year, so he'll be a happy man in the McLaren team for this year. So a good, strong lineup there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's probably. Yeah, they could well be the constructors' winners. I think I think you could be looking at that team there.
Yeah, definitely. Bringing on to the seventh team, or eighth team, sorry, for tonight. It is Mercedes, the team that love to bounce up and down and have no solution for it. They love a porpoise and their car is bouncing. And in that team we have what can be described as two reserve drivers, so new to permanent seats within MRC. One very much that loves to have nicknames made up, and certainly was talking about nicknames being made up. Some references in MRCX and Tier 4 to Donny Osmond. One of the Osmond brothers has joined us in MRC, and the other one thinks it's not unusual to have fun in MRC. Mr. Hills, who might be driving for Mercedes?
Probably two people that would very much like to kill you right now. I'm sure that Tom Jones has never heard that joke before. So he is the first of our two Mercedes drivers, and the other one is James Dierdon.
Yes, Donny Osmond. Or,
who I initially thought was probably French, but actually I think is British.
Yeah, well, I also wanted to call him Judun from Doctor Who, the Rhino Police, because every time I just see it, I just think Judun. But yes, Hodgie, you've called him Donny Osmond.
No, that was me.
Oh, was that you that called him Donny Osmond?
I'm very sorry to break it to him, but yeah, that was me.
The two of us were commentating that night. Yeah.
Yes, that was there. That was Tier 3. Yes, so it was Donny Osmond or Jadun, and Tom Jones, who's definitely not unusual. He is as I remember from commentary, the bad sequel to Fat and Furious 21. There we have it. So again, a nice strong lineup. Both of them did really well in their kind of respective showings in Jeddah as well. So that's going to be a team to watch for Tier 4 this season. Now, interestingly enough, this then brings us on to the final two teams, Red Bull and the Willy Boys. But we're going to go with Red Bull first of all, and I know that Red Bull have issues with their drivers. They will always have some challenges. They will always remember the multi-21 strategy, and they always remember that the powerful Max that is there as well will be in it. But this season they have quite a what I call a strong lineup. One driver who was in Tier 4 last season, who improved fundamentally throughout the season, and had some really good runs towards the end of the season, and one driver who, well, I mean, I, up until season 6, you wouldn't have ever thought that the words James Acaster and MRC would be put together. or Hang Na, or was his name in China. And also, in a way, I almost think George Michael. No, not George Michael. No, Karma Chameleon.
That's a different team.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. Karma Chameleon was the Pet Shop Boys, was it not? No.
It was Culture Club.
Culture Club, that was it. Well, I knew it was something linked to George Michael or Boy George or anything like that.
Boy George, yeah.
Yeah, not that I'm I'm going to have to dig myself out a hole here. Not that I am comparing the individual that I have mentioned as a chameleon, that is George Michael or George anyone, to be fair. Anyway,
where the hell is this going, Gavin?
This is happening. Well, let's put it this way. James Acaster, I think we know who that might be. And the other one, I think he knows who he might be. But in the interest of moving this along and before I get into any more trouble, Mr. Hills, who might be racing under Helmet's watch this season?
Okay, on the receiving end of the helmet are Connor and Matthew Sullivan, Geeky Matthew. Don't know how he says his name.
The Gecko.
The Gecko.
Got him.
Karma Chameleon. Gecko.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Tenuous!
Oh, God. Actually, to be fair, we could just call Connor Tom. Because, I mean, it could well be that. Actually, he's on pole position for this race as well. In Spain, we're watching him right now.
Do you mean Tom Hardy, or do you mean Tom Connor, who was in sitcoms in the 1970s, mate?
It could be any of them, to be perfectly honest. Sorry, what is happening with our Tier 3 champion Bergen, who just retires at the start of every single race? This is just shocking behaviour from the Tier 3 champion. But anyway, we're on board with James Acaster, going round Spain, but Ollie Racing has replaced him. Right, that brings us on to the final team selection. Didn't we call him James before? Well, yes, we did call him James before, says Billy Angelo. Bergen says traction control. Apparently traction control is not liking him tonight. So, no idea. But anyway, bring us on to the Willy Boys. Now, interestingly enough, the Willy Boys retain one of their Willys from last season to this season. So the two-headed beast that is the Williams team retains one of those. And the other one is an individual who last year did go from reserve to a permanent seat. Oh, why do we have we've got Simba and a Carl racing each other, but anyway. But what I have to say is the man who the Willy Boys are retaining does have a love of rubber. And in the Americans, you would see the blimp that is in there. Mr. Hills, I'm going to allow you to reveal the two Willy Boys for 2022 in Season 7.
They are quite a strong pairing, actually. It's TJ Goodyear and Paulo Costa.
Yeah, indeed. Very, very strong pair. TJ Goodyear remained in Williams last year, and we're on board with the Williams right now, driven by the baby Hornet right now, who is, well, I think going through the pits anyway. But yeah, Paulo Costa and TJ Goodyear. So again, another... Why is everyone pitting after one lap? I mean, have we gone crazy? What's going on here? Anyway, moving back. Oh, look, there's Hoselock. In the Aston Martin, otherwise known as Hoseman, otherwise known as Evil Homer, fan of The Simpsons. So there we go, driver lineup for Season 4 will be posted in the Discord, but to run it down, we have Chelsea E17 on Alfa Romeo, we have Ocean Team and Arthur Leclerc and Alpha Tauri, we have Necromancer and Alxa Seltzer in Alpine, we have Luke Chard and the Rangers man in the green giant of sweet corn that is Aston Martin. Ferraris, we have Gibbon and Johnny Smooth. We have Notorious Kieran in the Kellogg's factory in Haas, with Stuvine and Dak Convertible in McLaren. We have Donny Osmond, Judun Boy in Mercedes with, Fat and Furious. And we have James Acaster and the Chameleon himself into Red Bull. And the Willy Boys, Paulo Costa and TJ Goodyear. So a very strong lineup for Tier 4. Not certainly. I mean, at this stage, I think it's quite a balanced field. I think when we get to Bahrain, we'll have a better idea of pace. But there's a good lineup there and quite strong teams. So I think there's going to be a good battle for both drivers and constructors' championship there.
Yeah, it might be a good point at which just to mention quickly how we actually built these teams, because it's not purely by design that these teams have ended up balanced. In fact, it's not really by design at all. It's mainly random. But we do try to make sure that we look at who are the stronger drivers in the field and who are the developing drivers in the field, and make sure we're drawing from both those halves of the field as we randomise things, which sounds like a bit of a contradiction in terms, but the way we randomise them means that we look at kind of the two halves of the grid, basically. But before we add teams together, there is a benefit for winning. If you are a winner of one of our tiers, you are the only person on the grid who gets free choice of a team. So basically, if you win, you are literally the one person out of 20 who gets to choose their car. No debate. Also, our admins and stewards, they get to nominate 3 to 5 teams, depending on their seniority within MRC. And we try to accommodate one of those nominated teams that they've chosen as we build the field, and then everybody else is at random.
Yep. Indeed.
Can't say fairer than that, really.
No, exactly. There is the science that sits behind it. And Colin, who has a donkey, spun at turn 2. We caught it on stream. Colin, who was Colin Zowell and is now BRD Calvin. I'm sorry, your names will still stick. So there we are. Tier 4 is being revealed. For those that do race in Tier 4 and have been watching, do stay tuned, because there's at least another 3 tiers of this gibberish that we've got to go, and me talking gibberish mostly, with Martin and Mark speaking sense. But Tier 3 is what we are bringing ourselves on to now. We're looking from a rear end of an Alpha Tauri of Colin Hasenauer, which just went really wide in the what is turn 10, but is going to be the new turn 10 when the new game comes out. Now, Alfa Romeo starting back up at the A's, and they have an interesting lineup this season. So the first one is the Finnish. What I will call Mäkinen. Yeah, he was a rally driver. Finnish. Yeah.
Tommy Mäkinen, yes.
Yeah, Tommy Mäkinen. He was Finnish. He drove from Mitsubishi, if I remember rightly. There we go. Oh. Exactly. And also alongside with the Alfa Romeo, we've obviously not given the name, but we will do there. Has a man who has many names, and it depends where he is and what track we're on. And to be honest, what we feel like. Mr. Hills, who is in Alfa Romeo this year?
Well, first up, we have the person who I've decided this should be called Budgie Smuggler. Because BRD to me sounds a bit like Birdie. And he's trying so desperately to get away from this animal thing, and he's just walked into another opportunity as far as I'm concerned. So it's Budgie Smuggler BRD Colin, also known as Budgie Smuggler Has a Colin.
He's got so distracted, he's just lost it and smashed his front wing. He's looking for his budgie.
And he's accompanied by Bagmezzo, Tommy Beckman.
Yeah, Bagmezzo was really, and to be fair, but Bagmezzo was really strong towards the end of that season. Both him and Mindful Wasp absolutely strong towards the end of the season. So again, I've just seen Ollie Racing and Mike finished 1,000th of a second apart in this race. Rigged, I tell you, rigged. But yeah,
that is a very strong pairing. They're both shown. I think Colin, Mr. Budgie, Mr. Zookeeper, he has had a bit of, I would say, bad luck more than anything. So because when he has a clean race, he is pretty quick. So and then back with Bagmezzo, and that's a pretty strong lineup.
Yeah, it's indeed. Alpha Tauri now. Well, Alpha Tauri have got a tale of 2 drivers. One was successful in forming a championship constructor winning title in Tier 4 last season, and the other is a man who pulls no punches and is a quick man out of the box. They are dressing head to toe in the Alpha Tauri. with the fashion. I can see them both now in their chinos, the tan chinos with the white shirts and all that kind of lovely good stuff. Anyway, less about the thoughts that go on inside the Banshee. Mr. Hills, who do we have driving for Alpha Tauri this season?
It's the first driver pairing where I haven't had to read out both their Discord name and their real name, because both of them remarkably use their actual names as their Discord names, which, hey, what a refreshing idea. It is Tom Brown and Rob Smith.
There we go, Rob Smith. Improved race on race last season in Alpine. He was my teammate for the latter half of Tier 4 season, and he did really well within that. And Tom Brown, we know, is quick, and will continue to be quick in Tier 3. So again, that's a good, strong pairing so far. So already 2 teams down, and 2 teams that you think could win the Constructors based upon that. Now,
I mean, I think the Tier 3 field this season is really strong. In fact, to be honest with you, I think that this little shake-up that we've had between these 2 seasons has, allowing us to kind of bring in some new blood and also sort of balance things around between the top 3 tiers. I think tiers 1 to 3 have all got an amazing depth of ability and quite a narrow range of difference from sort of the first to the 20th positions, I suspect, in a lot of these races that we're going to see. They do
indeed. Well, it brings us on to the Alpine team. Now, interestingly, when I first seen this result just come out moments ago from the supercomputer, I thought to myself, wow, this is an interesting turn of events, especially given the fact that there is an individual who will be driving for the Alpine team who ripped into me for the majority of Tier 4 for the car that I was driving, despite my attempts to detach it and call it something different. And it's very interesting that individual tonight has decided to pick that car. But it is a strong lineup, again, in terms of the man whose name I cannot pronounce, his Discord name, sorry, I can pronounce his name, and the other one, which, well, to be perfectly honest, Martin Hills, I'm gonna hand over you, but I am rubbing my hands with glee in the fact that driving the Rangers wagon this season is over to you,
Mr. Carl Eden. Have you quite finished?
Not yet.
Just work that out of your system. Not that you hold a grudge or resent things.
No, of course. And joining Mr. Carl Edens in the French baguette is
Soapy.
Yay!
Sopuli Postu, which is Nico Lack.
Yeah, and that's again another strong driver pairing that we have there. Both quick drivers. Carl finished, I think it was maybe 5th in the championship in Tier 3 last season, and obviously Nico Lack will be eager to go quickly as well. Oh look, there's Carl in his future Season 7 car, second on the grid. Just looking at it now, he's going to have to get used to that. So yeah, another strong pairing in the Alpine team. Aston Martin, the team of money of Lawrence Stroll with his son Lance and Sebastian Vettel, have a very interesting driver lineup this year. Every time I see the first driver, I really want to call him John Deere. So I want to call him the John Deere Tractors. And when I see the other one, I just want, well, he's not as bad as SPF, but he's got pizzazz, he's got energy flowing through his veins, alongside the John Deere tractor, which is quite nice. Well, it actually is a bit of a thing because John Deeres are green as well, but Aston Martin are sponsored by JCB, so actually that is an issue. We will have to resolve that. But yeah, Mr. Hills, who do we have in Aston Martin?
We have Ty Clear, and we have Daniel McConville. That's Energy Dan.
It is, and Energy Dan was in Alpha Tauri last season, I think it was. if I remember rightly.
That's right. I think that's right. Obviously, he likes his cars to start with an A, but then to be fair, that's kind of like 40% of the grid. Isn't it?
This is exactly what I was about to say. 40% of the grid is in the A's, and obviously John Deere. John Deere will like to be in his big red, or big green, sorry, remember folks, we may talk about tractors here in MRC, but we don't do anything silly. But John Deere tractors, yes, that was it. Sorry, no, Energy Dan says he was in the Dan Booth says he was in the Haas with me, so he was in the Haas, so he's gone from Ferrari power to Mercedes power. Well, now, the next team to draw is Ferrari. Now, what can I say about this lineup for this season? They have... They have a
50% failure rate.
Yes, they have a team which will be doomed from the start. Binotto will throw his circular specs out at one of the drivers who may have similar circular spectacles as Matteo Binotto. But they have a man who is tried and tested and who we could never be judged to not having anything to say about how that Ferrari is going to be brought on, and another driver who wiggles the rear end coming out of the penultimate corner in Hungary at the moment. All I can say is, well, there is ashes to ashes, dust to dust, shadows to shadows. Who might be in the Ferrari? Martin Hills, tell us.
Well, it's the second driver this evening who's actually in the right car.
Yes.
Is Avinash.
Yes. There he is. He was getting the rear end out.
Who's been with us since season 1 with a bit of a break, and recently returned to the fold and has been part of our stewards team for quite some time now as well. Avinash is going to be a Ferrari driver alongside some misspeaking iron brew infused dolt.
Don't talk to me like that. Hello. Who's that then? Is that me?
It might just be you, your big red card.
Yes.
Scottish individual.
That's it. Technically, I could argue that the Shell logo is a bit Iron Brewish if I was to change the colour on it slightly. So there we go. Which is all fine. And UPS, there we go. Happy days. Good lineup in Ferrari there. That'll be an interesting one. That might bring the... well, let's put it this way. I was going to say it'll bring the success back to Ferrari, but J Sarge basically does that on his own. In Tier 1. So yes, that's again another strong lineup for La Ferrari. Haas is the next one, and Haas is again another... Ooh, that's a lovely little bump there between Mindful Wasp and SGPR, and Avinash with a little tap as well. Haas is a very interesting one. Never in my life would I have ever thought to suggest that in the Haas team we will have fiddling the knobs and the buttons and the wheels Leslie Nielsen, but also Julian Clary. Now, at no point in my life have I thought to myself, where is a double act I would love to see of Leslie Nielsen and Julian Clary? Now, Leslie Nielsen, we know as a fine actor. Julian Clary, we know as a fine comedian. Mr. Hills, who do we have driving for us in Haas?
We have Sherwin Andrews, Kenichiwa Beach, and Julian Schoon.
Julian Schoon, hello.
Julian Schoon to be driving a Haas.
Oh, you're going for the Sean Connery attempt that I did in Jeddah as well.
I wasn't really... I could do a better Sean Connery than that. In fact, anyone could do a better Sean Connery than you, ironically, as a Scotsman. But hey.
Calm yourself down. Calm yourself down. For those that are saying it, Kenichiwa Beach is Leslie Nielsen. Don't know why I gave him that name, but it has stuck. So Japanese Kenichiwa and Beach is in the Haas alongside Julian Clary. So again, another interesting one. Mark,
I feel target demographic wise, that's probably the worst two nicknames we have for people in the league, both in the same team.
well, there is possibly some more worse ones coming.
But as a combo, I think they're probably the ones that most people go, What are you talking about, Gavin?
Yes. Well, to be fair, Sherwin, when I gave him the name Leslie Nielsen, couldn't quite figure out why I'd called him Leslie Nielsen. To which I couldn't figure out why I'd called him Leslie Nielsen either, but I just kept going with it. So, I mean, Mark, you'll know as well as I do. We just make these... Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. We just make these names up.
Oh, yeah. On the fly, as we go, whatever sounds good at the time.
Yeah. So
I think we did spend that evening trying to work out which films Leslie Nielsen was in.
Yes, Airplane. Sure. Yeah, Airplane. Yep.
I was in the chat correcting you because you kept getting it wrong.
You were.
Because that was
Leslie Nielsen wrong.
Because that was and Don't Call Me Shirley. That was from Airplane. No.
Hospital? What is it? It's a big white building full of sick people.
Loved it.
We may get distracted, folks.
We tend to get distracted quite frequently. So, Mark, so far we've got 6 teams down. Tier 3, we've got Alfa Romeo of Colin has a donkey and his budgie smugglers. Back Mazo, Tom Brown, Rob Smith, Nicolat Carl in the Alpine, Tom Brown, Rob Smith in the Alpha Tauri's, Aston Martins are John Deere Tractor and Energy Dan, myself and Avinash in the Ferrari, that's doomed for failure, and Leslie Nielsen and Julian Clary in the Haas. So again, a nice little balance there.
Yeah, it goes on what Martin said about how strong the tier is, and I think that is very, very well balanced, in my opinion, on that one. I think the Alfa Romeo is a very strong lineup, and I would have to say the Alpine as well. I think just on that basis of outright pace, I think Energy Dan as well. Yourself, you've come on a lot at the end of the season, and Avinash has always been strong, and I think Julian's shown he's got good pace. I think he was in the MRCX, and Julian was, don't mean this in a disrespectful way towards Julian in any way, shape or form, but you have to say really punching above his tier, I would say. So really had strong pace and it's very well balanced and very strong. I think that it's going to be such. So far, I know the rest is yet to be revealed, and I don't want to give anything away. But so far, these teams in Tier 3 looks. I couldn't say who's going to be outright constructors. Couldn't say who could even win the championship at this stage with how strong the drivers and the pairings are.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And we have 4 more teams to announce in Tier 3, starting with the McLarens of the Mercedes. And in this team, we have the introduction of a permanent driver who was reserving, who has affectionately been called every single nickname under the sun, who has chosen, well, the immediate profile on Discord was of an old man. Then we have our glorious leader, which obviously isn't yourself, Mark, but the other glorious leader in the UK. And we have a man whose Discord is very much like that of a supermarket in the northwest of England. What more can I say? Handing over to you, Mr. Hills, for McLaren's review.
Well, the first driver is the experienced hand you mentioned, which is Boothie. And Boothie is accompanied by not my glorious leader, because quite frankly I'd roll out a guillotine for the lot of them, is Queen Lizzie, Licious V.
Billy has arrived. Anyway, has arrived in the McLaren. Boothie and Licious V in the... I do have to say that he needs to change his Discord name or PSN name. I can't deal with that at all. Apparently the session might be glitched because we're just watching cars driving around at the moment.
Yeah, we did have somebody leave the session and come back in, so it'll sort itself out.
It will sort itself out in a minute, which is always good. So McLaren, good strong pairing. Licious V showing some pace, and Boothie, the experienced pair of hands, as you were saying. Now, Mercedes have a very interesting lineup this season. Both promoted from Tier 4 last season. One who likes to gallivant around the world and make us jealous for all things Las Vegas and Mexico. Don't know why he went from America to Mexico. It's usually the other way around. And we have a man who... Well, he was a reserve. He then became a permanent driver in Tier 4 last season and absolutely smashed it in terms of his pace. I had a couple of good battles with him towards the tail end of the season He finished first in China, finished second, and vice versa in Jeddah. He is a buzzing man who is keen to win, followed by very much a man of 360 degrees and circles, Mr. Hills. Who are we in the Mercedes camp this season?
This team is my dark horse to watch for the championship. Because despite both being newly promoted drivers, I think this is a really strong couple of people. It's Lewis Marquis and Zach Round. That's mine for Wasp and Roundy.
Oh, there we go. Roundy moving from McLaren in Season 6 to Mercedes in Season 7. How absolutely dare he do that? Mindful Wasp. He was, I'm trying to think, he was in a McLaren, no he wasn't, he was in a Mercedes last season with Purgemeister. He was indeed. So yeah, so he stays, I think, in Mercedes. So he will be used to that. But yeah, it could well be the dark horse for the constructors title. Very quick between the both of them. Brings us nicely on to the Red Bull family tree in Tier 3. We have in this team what can only be described as a combination of relations between friends in Europe and the Scottish people. I don't actually know if one of the drivers is actually Scottish. He races under a Scottish flag, that's all I'm going to say. I don't actually know if he's Scottish or not. But he is the Baby Hornet, as he's been affectionately known. And we also have the man that we call our Mini Max. Red Bull have a familiar Dutch driver, Mr. Hills, this season in Tier 3.
We do. It's Melvin de Graaf and Simon Pratt, who has possibly my least favourite Discord name of all.
SG underscore PR 5806.
5806.
Yes. GPR. There we go. That's it. It's GDPR. It's a bit like GDPR. There we go. Data protection. GDPR. Yes, Baby Hornet or whatever else we want to call him. But again, that's going to be Melvin's pace in Tier 4 was absolutely astronomical. He was flying at times. So it'll be good to see what he can do in Tier 3. And that brings us to the final team for Tier 3. It's the Willy Boys. And the Willy Boys this season have what can only be described as, well, it's certainly not the usual suspects. And it's certainly not one to be envious of, because, again, these two could be really strong. Mr. Hills, who do we have in the Williams for Tier 3 Season 7?
We have Dario Veselenko, that's Electric Envy, and we have Steve Jarman, Kaiser Soze.
Yep.
And as you just said, I think when you look at all these teams in Tier 3 on balance, there's some really strong pairings through there.
There is.
This reshuffle really has evened things out massively. And actually, when I was doing the draw, like I was saying about how we try to sort of choose people from the upper half and the lower half of the grid, there wasn't a lot in it.
Yep. No, agreed. So there we go. Tier 3 has been drawn, which brings us nicely on to tier number 2. And tier 2 has many options here in the Alfa Romeo. Well, all I can say is we have a standard Alfa Romeo driver, a man who loves to talk about Alfa Romeos just as much as drive an Alfa Romeo. And also we have the bigger brother Hornet. Martin, who do we have in the Alfa Romeos in Tier 2?
We have Chris Pratt, Star-Lord himself, Dumbest Tornet, and we have Morgan Stubbs, Stu, who again is another of our OG members of MRC. He's the one of our founding fathers who has been here all the way along.
Founding fathers. Stodge is back in his Alfa Romeo seat, which he does love. Now, Alpha Tower is a very interesting one, just looking at it here. Very strong pairing here. We have a champion who has made his way up, who has gone from the Alfa Romeo to the Honda Power unit, and one driver who was in the Alpha Tower last season as well, but again, very speedy. And who do we have in that Alpha Tauri?
We have Damian, I'm going to guess his name is pronounced Delugos, which is Damalek, who has been around for a long time. And we have the The man who is Kyle Bergen. Bergen himself.
Yep, we do. The man from Morecambe, the cockle picker, as I kindly refer to him as for this. So yes, Damalek and Bergen go into the AlphaTauri. Now, Alpine they have a previous Tier 2 champion in their mix, and another fast driver who took a season out but has returned. All I can say is this Alpine does look like a strong lineup for Tier 2. Could it be that the Eiffel Tower will be singing the praises of a certain gentleman at some point this season? Who do we have in the Alpine?
Well, I mean, this continues our trend of really strong driver pairings. I mean, Tier 2's driver pairings are insane. So, as you just said, we've got two very, very strong people in Alpine. It's Guy Tanguy Nuzo, and Jake Card, who is the Fox River 8.
He is indeed. The Fox has arrived with the river and the shape of an 8. Which brings us to Aston Martin. And a familiar face in Tier 2, coming to Tier 2 this season. And a man who, enjoyed his spell in Red Bull, maybe for the last couple of seasons, but has moved on to pastures new. It is very much... Well, actually, it is two drivers whose Discords end in the number 89.
I haven't noticed that.
Well, could that bode well? Well, except we're not in an 89, nor in an 8 or a 9, so it won't help either of them. But in Aston Martin, hello, yes, hello. Aston Martin, hello. It's a bit like that scene out of Airplane. Roger, what? Anyway, who do we have in Aston Martin?
We have Monster and Fanning.
Ooh, and that's going to be again a strong lineup. Andrew
definitely is.
Coming down from Tier 1 last season, went up from Tier 2 previous season, learned a lot, getting used to the manual gears, but I think he'll be happy to be in a Mercedes powered car again. And Fanning will enjoy, as I say, call him Fanning. He can go and do his Aston Martin thing, which is always good. Now, Ferrari in Tier 2, I was shocked when I seen this, because I was so used to seeing this individual in the love machine that is the McLaren.
It is a big change, isn't it? It's a big old change.
It is. He's gone red in the face. The love machine has taken him. And the other driver, as we're watching Connor, we're on board with Connor, having going everywhere and anywhere. But yeah, Ferrari, who do we have?
Well, first of all, we have Seb Mail, who is a very, very quick and consistent guy. And he is paired with someone who is more normally seen in orange, as you mentioned, which is Jacob Jones. Fire Rooster is in a Ferrari.
Yeah, he changed his name at the start of last season and nobody could figure out who Fire Cock was. Because obviously Rooster. So basically, he's Fire Cock in a Ferrari. I mean...
He is definitely burning red. I would see a doctor.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for Tier 2 commentary this season. It could get entertaining, as it always is. And in Haas, we have, what I can only describe as a individual who loves a bit of the famous programme that is on Channel 4 at the moment, following a number of girls in Northern Ireland with an English boy. But also a man who definitely is not racing in the land of the floppy disks. Mr. Martin, who do we have at Haas?
Give me just a moment. I am having a minor technical difficulty.
Nope, that's all right.
I'm more curious about what Gav's TV habits are. To be honest.
Well, I mean, you can't beat a bit of Sister Michael and all of that coming from a Channel 4 on a Tuesday night. Is it after Great British Bake Off? I think it is. For those that aren't in the UK, we have very good television here. But yes. It's an interesting one with the Haas this season, actually, because the second driver was Alpha Tauri, I think it was last season, and this driver's a trialist that we did, and has got a permanent race seat. In terms of our friends, and then for those wondering what I may be referring to, well, Derry Girls is an interesting Channel 4 drama, comedy, set in Londonderry, or Derry, obviously Derry Girls. And in Derry, Derry Phillips is the first driver. And Lauren Force, Floppy is the second driver in the Haas team. So again, a nice strong lineup there this season. McLaren this season have, well, I was utterly shocked last season when a certain driver did not sign on to a McLaren, but he is back alongside a man who watches the Karate Kid 10 times every week. Mr. Hills, have we got the McLaren pairing?
We have. My apologies. My Discord has crashed on me.
That's all right. We will go with it. We will go with it.
Literally, I've been pasting stuff into Discord, and it's just decided to wig out on me. Unfortunately,
that is all right. So,
and it's done something very peculiar. But yes, we do have a pairing for McLaren,
and we have in the first seat we have the man who loves to enjoy the joys of a red car in Cleveland. He's not in a red car, he is in an orange car. That is Mr. Barber, who is in a McLaren. And he is joined by the Karate Kid himself.
Gaming Demigod.
Exactly, or Gaming Demigod as I call it. Right, well, Mercedes, I mean, what can I say about this pairing? One is a man who speaks lots, who enjoys the conversations that we all have, and very quick. And the other is a man who sounds a bit like Remax, but isn't Remax. Who might be in Mercedes, Martin? Is it someone who might be joining us now? Or did he choose to go away from his Mercedes?
I think that there may be a driver in Mercedes who actually has a tattoo on his arm of him in a Mercedes, because that's how often he drives a Mercedes. So maybe actually he's going to have the Mercedes redecorated with a picture of the tattoo of his face in a Mercedes on his Mercedes. It's Mark.
Well, exactly. He's back. Well, you're facing a Mercedes.
And he's joined by Womax.
Yes, Ilian Remax. There we go. Call him Remax. That's again a good strong pairing. Mark going for more points in championship this season. Very unlucky last season. A few eventualities and dramas, but very much not reflective of the driving. So you will be going for it this season.
Without a doubt, and happy with Rumax. Had a few battles with him wheel to wheel, and he's very, very quick driver, so happy with that one.
Indeed.
Look forward to having a good pairing.
Good. Red Bull will bring us a man who, well, was last season's teammate to yourself, Mark, who does enjoy a Sprinter van, but this season he can't be in a Sprinter van because he's in a Red Bull. And, well, he is joined by the one and the only Fishy Lion King after he dunked himself in the Singaporean soup of cream of some young man. Who do we have, Mr. Hills, in Red Bull?
That was my moment in the sun of the season.
It was.
Forget the title. It was tricking Gavin to say the cream of some young man. So that pairing, we have a driver who's returning to Red Bull, isn't he? Because I believe that Frank used to be a Red Bull driver. That's Vans. And another Red Bull fan, Mark Dennison, Simba himself.
Yes, indeed. He joins the joys of the Fishy Lion has arrived at Red Bull, where he will be cleansed and will smell of Red Bull. Someone's loved our Derry Girls reference. Sorry, I've got to see who this is. Sorry, wait a minute. Who said this? Derry. That is Derry OG. Yeah, he loved the Derry Girls reference. He is now Derry Girls. That's exactly what he's going to be from now on. I cannot get over it. That is it. Now, talking about can't get over things, on to the Willy boys. And well, I mean, these two are very different. one Connor absolutely loves, and the driver in question loves Connor. They are having a lovely little affair. They have a love pact going on. Makes you sick. And the other one is, was truth or but has decided to try and make him or herself sound like a diesel aftershave. Neither names on Discord and PSN I approve of, so we will go with a panini or sun protection factor and a whoosh. Because in the Willy boys, they need a whoosh Willy. There we go. Moose Millie. There we go. Anyway, Martin, who do we have in the Williams before I get myself in more trouble?
You've really lost me now, to be honest with you. I'm starting to question the futility of existence right at the moment. So we have Panizza Alessio and Dare Brave. That's SPF Panizza. And Call Me the Brave.
Yeah, can I just give a bit of advice? Dare, change your PSN and Discord. You're not ever being called the Brave. You get called the Woos for that. And Panizza, well, you're not a pizza, you're a panini. Or if you were in the Alpine this year, you'd have been a baguette. But anyway, there we have it. Tier 2 lineup. We're just going around Netherlands already. We've got people retiring. We do have standard damage on and everything, folks, and standard damage rate, so I think it explains why we're having all this fun and games. Which brings us nicely on at 20:08 on the 2nd of May. Tier 1 drivers. And again, really good link through the field, but starting with Alfa Romeo. Well, this one is a very interesting one. A man who may not have any hair, based upon his Discord, and does enjoy some camouflage material very much, joined by the man of graphics. Mr. Hills, who do we have at Alfa Romeo in Tier 1?
The man of graphics. Okay, so we have MTO, Mike Ogle, and Chris Atkinson, Bald Boy.
There we go. So the graphical hair and makeup that we do have there at Alfa Romeo. Now, in Alpha Tauri, we have the man that is the joy of beef, loves a bit of beef in his burger, and, well, we also have a man who does sound a bit like a telecommunications company that is in Britain. But I can tell you, it is because he has a double barrel in his name, and we have a hamburger and a British Telecom boy. Martin, who do we have at Alpha Tauri?
We have Stefan Rack and Nick Bannon Thomas. The BT, Bannon Thomas.
What's that? BT?
Which is Nick BT and HSV fan.
Yeah, LRL. Hamburger! Is he German? Stefan, are you German? If so, tell us. I think he did tell us before, so there we go. He's a German hamburger. At least I didn't go German sausage, because we've not mentioned the sausages up until this point. And the reason we haven't mentioned sausages until now is because for Alpine, we have one of the drivers is a man who loves the sausage, and who once went for, if I recall, a sausage fest on the Hungarian highway. And the other one, well, it's the same name on both drivers. This won't get confusing at all. Martin, who do we have at Alpine in Tier 1?
Well, it's either confusing or simple, because if you don't know who you're looking at, you just say Alex. It's Alex squared, it's Alex E and Alex G, Alex Zajeric and Alex Giseke, I don't know how to say your name, Alex Giseke, Giseke.
We could just call him Gies.
I know, let's call him Alex.
There we go, Alex and Alex, there we go, Alexius and Alexa, there we go. Aston Martin, well, Aston Martin have, again, another interesting lineup for this year. They have a man who enjoys a bit of sniper action, and a man who, well, would have loved to have been on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and no doubt probably was. Who do we have in Aston Martin?
We have Benjamin van den Emster, that's XG Stars and Snipes. And Anand Thanky, the Slayer.
The Slayer has come to Buffytown. There we have it. On to Ferrari. Well, Ferrari, no surprise here in terms of one of their drivers, because the man never leaves his Italian home that he's found for himself. He is a triple Tier 1 champion, but I suspect the pack is closing in. And the other driver that we have is a man who loves to jump in the swimming pool, loves to have a little bathe on the shores of the south of England, a man who, well, very much likes to go racing, has a name that sounds like Brawley. Who do we have at Ferrari, Martin?
Is there anyone who's got a name that sounds like increasingly desperate? We have J Sarge himself, Jason Sargent, and Ollie Poole, Ollie Racing. So that's a strong team as well, isn't it? I mean, I don't know whether. I mean, we haven't really stopped to take a breath with these guys, but these teams are phenomenally strong.
They are indeed. The J Sarge, the man who would love to be in the Bill, and the Brawley, as we'll call him now. Right, brings us on nicely to Haas, and Haas have, well, what can only be described as H's in Haas. It's as if the gods of Haas, Günther Steiner and co, came together and said, who do we want to race for us? And Günther went, has to have an H in their name. One of them is a fan of things that water comes out of, and the other one you would use climbing a mountain or for descending a mountain. Martin, who might be in the Haas?
We have Hilbert Borger, who is Le Rappel, and we have Sander Hosman himself, Showsman, as his name is on screen.
Hoselock. There we go. Hoselock himself, the man with water powering out of him. There we go. You might want to go see a doctor. Brings us on nicely to McLaren. And in McLaren this season, we have, well, a pretty good, actually, a really good lineup in terms of strong driver pairing. Both of them really good. One is very much like a chef, whose second name is Harriet. And the other one is, well, I can't really make up anything for this individual, other than maybe his name. Martin, who do we have at McLaren?
we have a good friend of J Sarge, Mark Ainley, and Damiano Ugoni himself. Indeed
we do. 3 teams still to go. Mr. Hodgson, Tier 1, looking very strong so far, and many drivers could win the Drivers' Championship, but equally enough, there's some strong Constructors' parents there.
Oh, exactly that. When we saw last season, of course, J Sarge, the triple champion, but LRL held him well. Mark Ainley had, I think, just again a bit of bad luck, and he was at such speed, and there's a few other drivers that yet to be revealed of which teams, so I'm not going to mention them. But also really held candles to them as well. And again, I'm looking at the teams, and I'm sitting here looking at it thinking, okay, you're right for the teams who the pairings, because you think, well, yes, they may not have been in there for the outright driver's title, but working together as a team, there's a lot of strong point scorers.
There is indeed. Mercedes. Well, this is an interesting one. If I'm right, it's a brand new, both brand new to the Mercedes team, which we could call Tyrrell, or BAR, or Honda, or Braun. One of these drivers is very much a man who splits his time between playing for Real Madrid and playing for MRC. He is also a man with a name which doesn't sound anything like Karim Benzema, but his Discord does. And the second one, well, his name is his Discord name. Mr. Hills, who do we have in Mercedes?
I think this is going to be a strong pairing, to be honest with you. We have Reese Whitcomb and Brendan DeMoulin, who is Scratch Charisma.
Indeed.
And that's what I didn't want to give away, thinking that's two
a
strong
power.
drivers.
Yeah.
It is. I'm looking at that thinking that's strong. That is quick.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is definitely one of the teams that could be looking. Mercedes need to bounce back to win a championship, and potentially that could be this season. Just before we go on to the final two teams, very quickly, just amending one of the settings. Damage is now off because I think a few individuals have had damage. So there you go, folks, for the final two. But for the final two, as we go into Portugal, which is a roller coaster for the drivers, they love a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster and it's got a ride in. We have in the Red Bull team tonight, in one corner, we have a man who, if you were to put him in the ground, would be explosive, light his fuse and run away, because he would explode. And we have another one who likes to be part of the family that created some well-known yogurt brands, and hired, what's her face from the Pussycat Dolls, Nicole Scherzinger, to get some white yogurt on her nose every so often. Who do we have in the Red Bulls today?
Oh God!
It gets worse.
God, this is we're not even after the watershed.
I know. I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard not to come back with something.
Yeah, so
just,
am I.
Oh,
So am I.
crikey!
We're all thinking it. That's not.
I've had half a bottle of red wine, Gavin. What are you doing to me? I can't be dealing with this.
Oh, well, we know it can't get any worse.
So we have Dean Lawrence, Kid Dynamite, and we have Leo Muller, Fatch.
Yeah. So, and again, that's a good strong pairing between the two Red Bulls for that. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how those two get on in terms of the Red Bulls. And that brings us on to the final pairing for tonight. It is Tier 1. It is the Willy Boys themselves, and one of them certainly does love getting into his Willy Boy machine, because one is the blowhole himself, the man who can make lots of noise, the man who brings the issues, and another man who went from Tier 4 to Tier 1 last season and was in the McLaren, and is certainly going to bring some power to that Williams team. Who do we have in the Williams? This is going to be a surprise to everyone.
We have assistant head steward Chris Bailey and Alexander Weiser, who is Gatian.
Yeah, so a nice strong lineup. Chris Bailey deciding that he still wants to be part of the Willy Boys project. Clearly decided that his job is not finished there yet. He needs to go and finish that off. But in terms of Tier 1, therefore we have Alfa Romeo, we have Camel Boba and MTO, and AlphaTauri we have LRL, HSV Fan, and Nick BT with Alex and Saviour in the Alpines. We have G-Star and the Slayer and Aston Martin. We've got J Sarge and the South of England Ollie Poole in the Ferrari. We have Lurapel actually he could be Lurapel off the mountain with some hose-lock hose. There we go, in the Haas. Hoseman and Lurapel. Mark Ainley and Eugenie, I'm going to find a nickname for you, don't you worry. Reese and Karim Benzema in the Mercedes. Kid Dynamite and Fatch in the Red Bull. And the blowhole David Bailey, the man who is 82 years old but still giving it yaldi. And Gatian is there as well. Tier 2, Alfa Romeo, Dumbest Hornet and Stoops. So we've got Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World Dominion, and Alfa Romeo with Stodge. We've got Damalek and Bergen the Cockle Picker in AlphaTauri. We've got Guy returning to Tier 2 with Alpine with the Fox River. We've got Andrew and Thomas in Aston Martin. We've got the Firecock himself proudly going for it with Seb Mail in the Ferrari. We've got Derry Girls and Floppy in the Haas. We've got a red car in Cleveland returning to his home at the McLaren with the Karate Kid. We've got Mark and Womack, the power couple at Mercedes. And we've got Vans and Simba, the Lion King, with Panini and some man called Dare in the Williams. Tier 3, we have Colin has a budgie in his Budgie Smugglers, and Tommy Mackinnon in Alfa Romeo. We've got Tom Brown and Rob Smith in Alfa Tauri. We've got Nico Lack and we've got Carl in the Alpine. We've got John Deere, Ty Clear and Energy Dan in the Aston Martin. We've got some rather annoying Scottish person, Man Avinash in the Ferrari. We've got Leslie Nielsen getting it on with Julian Clary for Haas. We've got Boothie in the Elizabeth in the McLaren. We've got Mindful Wasp and Roundy in the Mercedes. We've got Baby Hornet and Mini Max in the Red Bull, with the Electric Envy and Kaiser Soze in the Williams. And in Tier 4 in the Alfa Romeo, we've got Chelsea and E17 to stay another day, Ocean Tame and Arthur Leclerc in the Alfa Tauri. We've got Necromancer romancing himself with Axel Seltzer in the Alpine. We've got Lichard and the Rangers man Danny in the Aston Martin. Oh, that's comical. We've got Gibbon and Johnny Smooth in the Ferrari. We've got Kieran and Kellogg's in the Haas. We've got Stuvine and Dak Convertible in the McLaren. Sorry. We've got Donny Osmond, Judoon Boy in the Mercedes, with Tom Jones, how old he is but still in his prime. We've got Connor blasting his way with Gecko Chameleon George Michael in the Red Bull, and we've got Paulo Costa and TJ Rubber Goodyear in the Williams. And that does conclude the tiers. Oh, we've got a McLaren of Mindful Wasp just going everywhere in Portugal. And that does conclude the tiers. More successful than last time we drew this, Martin.
Well, at least, by this point, whatever it is, what time is it now? It's
only 8. Yeah.
We were an hour and 20 minutes in. I mean, at this point, last time, we were just getting started.
Well, that's true as well. Yeah, that is very true. We hadn't got there, so...
there was a lot of umming and ahhing and clicking of buttons and slight complaints and people saying that they couldn't hear us.
Yeah.
And it was. That wasn't your fault. It was the software.
It was the software. That's exactly
the software.
That is exactly what it was.
However, anything tonight that's gone wrong, absolutely 100% your fault.
Oh, completely my fault. I mean, one. To be fair, everything that's gone wrong tonight has come out of my mouth. Everything that has gone right tonight is your excellent planning in supercomputer.
I hope it's all. I always get paranoid that there's something amiss somewhere, but it's been a very thorough process. So hopefully everybody's in the right places and the right tiers, and we don't have any duplicates. And it's, when you're dealing with 80 people in basically 40 teams, it can get quite confusing. So hopefully it's all good.
Exactly, and plus we have the reserves who will all have been allocated your reserves from tiers 1, 2, 3 and 4. And remember folks, if you are a reserve, do check in. You have a mandatory requirement to check in, otherwise if you don't, we will remove you. But you also, with checking in and racing and being available to race, have more of an opportunity to get those permanent seats as and when. And as we've seen between season 6 and 7, we had at least 7 or 8 drivers move from reserves to permanent.
Yeah, we've promoted a whole bunch of people because we had a couple of people who left within the last couple of races of the season, and we left those positions open knowing that a new season was just around the corner, so we could trial people in some proper racing environments. Exactly. And then we also had several people who are standing down for the coming season for a variety of reasons. So that left us with a whole bunch of vacancies. So instead of normally what we would do is we would sort of introduce people within each tier, but the idea of tier 4 is it's supposed to be a feeder tier. So ultimately it made much more sense to move people up from tier 4 and recruit new people in as reserves in tier 4, not least because we're a little bit short of reserves in tiers 1 and 2. Basically we are now in a position whereby we've really thinned down our number of reserves. We're going to make sure this season in particular we're going to be having fewer reserves and keeping them busier.
Yes.
But what we need people to do in order to be able to keep them busy is to check in.
Yes.
That would really help. If you want to race, then, let us know you want to race maybe. Or if you're not available to race, let us know that as well. Because if you don't let us know, and you keep on not letting us know, you'll feel the door hitting you in the backside quite hard. Yes,
you shall be exited. Exactly. And obviously, with season 7 coming up as well, we will have the return to the normal of fully streamed and professional commentary teams, bar wherever I commentate on, because that ain't ever professional. Hodgsy, you'll be back, along with we are just figuring out what the comms plan will be for this season, as part of it, because we obviously have MRCX as well, so there's 5 league races a week, not to mention 5 practice sessions a week that people organise that sometimes we stream, and we're now, for those that haven't seen some of our races at Jeddah, one in particular is nearing the 1,000 view mark. We are growing left, right and centre on YouTube.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those that we want to keep on going, and for the people watching, we don't just say like, subscribe just for kicks, just for fun. We are going as a team. We've as Gav said, and we all know, we've extended from 2 tiers to 4 tiers very, very quickly, including MRCX as well. So, yeah, keep on doing it, keep on liking, join us, come and race with us.
Yep. As we say, like, subscribe, and ding the bell, because when you ding the bell, you will get notified.
The number of people who come on Discord every week and say, when's the stream going live?
Yes.
Yeah, ring the bloody bell on the subscription on Discord, and you wouldn't have to ask every flicking week. It's so silly. Come on.
Exactly. We have many people. We have 238 subscribers across 167 videos. We engage throughout the world. We have drivers from throughout the world, from Europe to the continental Americas to Asia and to South Africa and the Middle East as well. We are in multiple time zones. It doesn't matter whether you're in the Australia, whether you're in Russia, whether you are in Japan, Brazil or Canada, or even in the outback of Alaska. You can get us. Do go ding the bell, because every time you ding that bell, you will get, and if you allow YouTube to send you notifications through your smartphone device or through your tablet, you will be able to see it. But don't get me wrong, you can see us on any smart TV as well that has YouTube. Just go into it and you can watch the best action. We get, just in terms of context, there are other leagues out there that have more subscribers but get less viewers. We get significantly lots of viewers, and we need those subscribers as well. So do share on social media. Do show people you do record your own footage to share with the stewards. Do engage with that as well. But do ding the bell, because you will get notified every time we go live. Speaking of Season 7, it would be remiss of me not to say that there is one man who is missing from Season 7 that people will have noticed, and that man is very much our glorious leader, Martin. You are soon to depart for your summer of work abroad, which is why you are not taking part in Season 7, but fingers crossed we'll have you back for Season 8 potentially, or maybe 9.
It's probably 9, to be honest with you. I'm going to be some way behind everybody on the new game by the time I actually get around to trying it. But I will obviously be back. But I've got to be honest with you, it really does suck a big one, quite frankly.
Yes.
It sucks and simultaneously blows.
Yeah. Is your name Chris Bailey?
So no, I'm sort of sat here doing absolute shed load of admin to make this new season happen, but I'm not actually taking part in it, which is really,
it's a shame.
It's pretty gutting, to be honest with you. It is.
Yep.
It's not making me into a particularly jolly person, but
no.
I'll be back in October.
Exactly. We're back in October for the fun, and the league, as always, is in good hands with the strong and dedicated admin team and the stewards and the commentators and everybody. And this is the key thing, folks. It isn't a 2-minute job to do everything that both Martin and Mark and others do. It takes a while. It is effort. It is time. We share with you the stewards' times that it sometimes take. It's all the other stuff that goes in the background. So, as you said, ding the bell on YouTube saves answering or asking the questions: when's the stream going live, or is there going to be a stream link, etc., etc. So, what's apparently? I don't know what Andrew's comment is there, but actually that's a good point. Actually, if we can hit 1,000 subscribers, the league would start to earn money as well.
Perfect.
So that would be nice. I mean, I'll give you an interesting fact. I was doing a little bit of research this afternoon. So I think you could probably argue that in terms of leagues, I think WRR is probably the one of the biggest, most prestigious leagues out there. Mm-hmm. World Online Racing, isn't it? And that's where like Jarno Opmeer and all that lot race. Our PlayStation League here is getting more views than WOR's PlayStation League.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
A lot more.
I did not
Actually,
know that.
a lot more. Our last, as you were saying, I mean, last week between the tiers, I think we've had about 2,000 views or something between the tiers. With like you say, nearly 1,000 on one alone. And their last race, which was several weeks ago, in their PlayStation division, had a third of that.
Yeah. And this is the thing, and it's not just people don't just tune in for the racing and the commentating. It's everything. It comes as a parcel, and people tune in. They like listening. For instance, we were talking about Tier 1 there being near 1,000 views. The charity race which we had is now up to 830 views in total. Tier 2 in Jeddah was near enough 600, Tier 3's 450, Tier 4's 600. I mean, again, let's pick it up for this week. These are big numbers considering what we were generally getting around about 200 views in total. So,
yeah,
lots to do. We've got new things, we've got the graphics, we've got the hashtags and everything. So again, we will share those hashtags, because if you're promoting your own driving on Twitter or YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, whatever it is, we'll try and keep those hashtags consistent as well, because they are certainly working. Well, 94 minutes of random gibberish, randomised conversation, which have revealed the 80 drivers and 80 seats. It probably is time to say thank you, Martin, for everything. The last few days, as Mark said, from the end of Season 6, it was onwards to Season 7 projections. We start the racing in a week's time, with Tier 1 at 20:45 next Monday, Tier 2 at 7 p.m. Mr. Hodgson, you will be racing in that first Tier 2. I will be commentating, and then vice versa, you will be commentating on Tier 1. We'll outline the commentary teams. Martin, you will, as always, be tuned in as and when you can.
Well, I mean, I've got a few weeks before I go, so I will be reserving.
Yes.
So I hope to get on track over these next few weeks.
There we go.
I'll be gutted if I don't.
Oh, well, we can. Let's see what we can do. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I find the most intriguing part of that is being a reserve. Don't use your car, and we're so used to seeing you in the papaya. That will be very strange, unless you get lucky, of course.
Wow.
That will be a strange one.
It's funny, do you know what? I find that when I get into other cars, I can't drive them as well. I don't know what it is. There's this like familiarity thing going on where I'm like, oh yeah, this all feels normal. And I've tried to drive something else, and it's like, oh, this is so alien. I can't do this. It's awful.
Yes, that is like me with that Alpine thing I had to race last year. Ugh. Anyway, as always, thank you very much, Hodgie. Thank you very much. Thank you to all 20 drivers who were racing tonight. It was really more about the team reveal, but you guys have put on a show. There's many front wings have been lost. No stewards' hands, please. They don't exist today. Mr. Hills, thank you very much for tonight and also the last 24, 36, 48 hours.
No worries.
Lack of sleep and lots of wine. We will be back in a week's time for, as I said, Tier 2 and 1. Practice for Bahrain starts on Thursday night. If you are in the league and you are onto Discord, do go onto the official practice comms and register. Tier 1 and Tier 2 check-ins will likely go live Wednesday, I think, and then Tiers 3 and 4 will go live likely Friday for check-in, so do check that out. Go and do share, go and do add the comments onto the YouTube, onto the Discord. There'll be lots of comments to catch up on, but from both me, Martin and Mark, have a lovely Monday evening, bank holiday Monday in the UK, and go and enjoy the rest of your Monday. Take care, everybody.
Cheers, guys.
Bye now.